is about my neighbor and I. She's a sweet lady, elderly, about 85 years old, and there was 3 forsythia bushes that were on the border of our property between us. And she didn't like those forsythias at all. Now, I'd say on the border, but on my side, near the border. The owner of the house before I bought it had planted them there. She did not like them at all. She asked me to get rid of them. Well, I like forsythia bushes, so I didn't see any need to get rid of them. And I wanted them to grow high and fluffy and, you know, natural. I thought that looked prettier. Well, one day I came home from work, and those bushes were about a foot tall, well, maybe 2 feet, in little round balls. It's just little balls. Here I had them all flowing and elegant. She had them in 3 tight little balls. She had trimmed them herself. Oh no, what was I going to do now? Nothing, of course. I didn't mention it, but it made me mad. Why would she cut my forsythia bushes without asking me, etc.? So there was always this little rift in my heart about that. Didn't confront her. What good would it do? She'd just tell me she wanted me to cut them down. So, the next few years, I did not cut them. And she continued to trim them in little balls, and I let her. Well, and I didn't like her either because of that. I built up this resentment in my heart. Rarely thought about it, really, unless it was forsythia time. I really didn't think about it at all. I'd say hi to her across the fence and all. We were on a good relationship like that. But, and I'd visited her before. Well, there was Sunday morning, Communion Sunday. We had communion the first Sunday of every month. It was time for communion, and I'm the choir director, and I was up there on the stage. You know, here's the preacher, and here's me over here. And I was up there, and we were getting ready for communion, and I bowed my head and said, you know, just rotely, Lord, if there's anything in my heart that needs to be cleansed before I take communion, please let me know. Just a normal thing I do before communion. Well, guess what happened? Right there in my mind's eye, over here, was the face of my neighbor, her face. Right there in my face was her face. Like, oh no, not her. I thought, well, you're right, God. I do have something big against her. You know, there's resentment and bitterness, and I need to forgive her. So, in my reluctant state, I said, okay, God, please remind me later to, you know, go visit her or see her or something, but I really need you to remind me because I'll forget. Hoping I would forget. So, God is so cool. I mean it, He's so cool. So then, I told the Lord I was sorry, and that's what I said to Him. So then I went down and got communion, came back up and sat down, and my habit is, while the rest of the congregation comes up and gets their communion, I sit there and read the scriptures, because I love the Bible. And so I always do that while they're keep my mind on the Lord. So I opened my Bible, and it fell open to that scripture right there in black and white, underlined, was love your neighbor. I am not kidding. Right there was love your neighbor. I thought I would faint. Oh no, Lord, I'm going to have to go see her. I don't want to. I don't want to. He loves me anyway. He loves you, even if you're reluctant. So I made myself a note. Go see my neighbor. Well, I closed up my Bible, and my husband and I, John and I, decided to go out to Shoney's after church to have their breakfast buffet that lasts till like 2 on Sundays. So we went in and we're standing in line waiting to get seated, and someone bumped into me from the left who had just finished paying, and guess who it was? Yes, you guessed it, my neighbor. She bumped into me physically. God put her in my face again, physically, real. I said, oh, hi, I was thinking about you this morning, which I was. I said, I've been thinking I'd like to come and see you. Is this afternoon good? And she said, yeah, come on over about 1:30. So I went. And we had a delightful time. And I forget what happened. We brought up the bush. And anyway, I got rid of the forsythia bushes. And it's not worth having the trouble between your neighbor. 3 forsythia bushes is not worth having the trouble with your neighbor. And anyway, I did get the opportunity to share the gospel with her. She's been going to church her whole life, singing in the choir. And anyway, I got to say that going to church your whole life does not mean that you're saved, because a Christian is someone who has been born again. And a lot of church members will go to church, but they're not really born again. So that's the important thing. So I got to share the gospel with her, and that was a delight. We've been friends ever since.